Hello, everyone. I'm Audie from BellyRhythm, and welcome to Conversations with Raqs Stars, where we interview and enjoy performances by some of the stars in the belly dance community. This evening's performer is Lilirosa. She is a North African-inspired, traditional Egyptian-style belly dancer from Harlem, New York. She has worked internationally for over 20 years. Let's enjoy one of her performances now.
One, the only Lilirosa.
Lilirosa, thank you so much for joining us on Conversations with Rock Stars. I'm so glad you can be here.
It is my absolute pleasure and honor. You have been one of my mentors from afar for all of these years, so I feel especially happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Audie.
Oh, and you've been mine too. I always look up to you and what you're doing. You're always looking fabulous and gorgeous. And yeah. So tell us, how did you get into the world of belly dance?
So this has been a really fun ride. It started when I was about 8. I started dancing with my hands and my head, and I didn't really have any particular technique to it. But what I can tell you was that because my family's of Caribbean descent, I feel like the movements were very similar. There's a Karachi rhythm that comes from Egypt. As from the dance, to the best of my knowledge, that rhythm has been something that's part of the culture as far as like soca and dancing. So you know, I don't know, this dance kind of just found me at a young age. And even so, I've always been tenting my rooms as long as I could remember as a young kid. So one time when I was a young adult, and it doesn't matter what age I was at the time, I remembered watching a class online, and the woman started with a short performance. And I was sitting next to my mom, may she rest in peace at the time. And I said, "Oh my gosh, mommy, look, that's what I've been doing. That's the dance that I've been doing." And she was just like, she was happy because I was happy. And I went to this class. I found out it was belly dance. And I was like, wow, this is going to be so exciting. I went to my first class with Amara Alamir, who I still keep in touch with. She was my first instructor, and it just grew ever since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in your bio, you talked about how you've taught and you've done choreography and you were the lead performer internationally. Tell us about your travels.
Sure. My travels have been very interesting because they've been, again, Caribbean based. So the costuming and the rhythms and the colors and the excitement and the feeling of joy is something that's familiar to me. I'll tell you, on one of my very first performances in New York, actually, with some really tough, really well-known dancers. I was so flattered to be there with them, because I wasn't really the size that most girls were, and I didn't look like most girls. And I danced, and at the end of the show, this man says to me, "Oh, you remind me of home." And he was Egyptian. And I said, wow, I felt so very, very humbled and so grateful in that moment, because I didn't feel that reception from many Americans, and I certainly didn't feel that reception in certain venues. So I really loved dancing in the Caribbean, in Puerto Rico, in Trinidad, and those were my favorites. And really, that's really the extent of my international performances. I studied in Egypt, and I was fortunate to do so, but I did not perform in Egypt.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually saving that for this trip that was supposed to happen last year, but it is what it is. I'm sure it'll happen in the near future, so I'm still looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So so you mentioned that you weren't the size of, and you weren't the complexion of most of the dancers. Tell us about your experiences with, I guess, with American dancers, I guess you were having issues in that regard.
Well, it's interesting because I think that many American audiences were taken aback by me. And after a while, they got to know me, and I got to be circulated around certain groups of people because I'd get recommended from one shower or one wedding to another, and so it worked out really well. When I first started, however, I was kind of pushed to the side because I was always quite heavy, about, I don't know, anywhere from 60 to 100 pounds heavier at the time. And so I wasn't fit for a dance club. I wasn't fit for that type of venue. So I made it my business to find where I could fit in. And I turned my outcome around ever since. Yeah.
But when you say you weren't fit for, I don't get that impression that you mean in a negative way. You mean that just wasn't your crowd? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
it really wasn't my crowd because, I really love dancing with and for families, with and for children and women. That's really where my heart is, and that's where I get the most joy. So yeah, that's kind of really the long and short of it. That's more of my fit. I did lots of restaurants and festivals. I did carnivals. I just had a great time with showers and weddings, those kinds of venues. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is important for everyone to sort of find their niche,
Yeah.
because not everyone wants to perform at a restaurant. I mean, I've performed at restaurants, but I was not crazy about performing at restaurants. I'd much
Yeah.
rather be on a stage, but there are others who felt, a stage is so far away from your audience, but it's good to find, where you feel good at.
I agree. And one thing about being on stage is you also have the option of coming down from the stage and dancing with the audience. So that's something that I did often. I also love dancing with moms and their kids. So, I would come down from stage and we'd have fun in the audience together. And then I'd go back up and finish my gig.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
So, you also had a studio was it in Harlem that you had your studio?
No, actually, I was just born in Harlem. I really spent most of my life in Queens and Long Island. And I had a studio in Franklin Square, New York, which is just on the border of Queens and Long Island. And so I really had a great time with my studio. I was there for 5 years, and when my family dynamics started changing, I thought it was best for me to move my studio back home. So that's what I did. I closed my storefront and I moved my studio back to Queens. So I've been here ever since. And with that, I've had the joy of working with women a little more intimately in that, we've had a chance to work on fine tuning their goals, on choreographies attuned just for them. Whereas when they were, taking classes, we really didn't have that kind of time. And I didn't have the time to dedicate to them the kind of customizing that they were looking for. So yeah, it worked itself out,
Yeah. So it's really kind of two different types of studio.
Yeah.
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 So as a studio owner, let's say, do you have any suggestions, advice for someone who wants to open their own studio?
Well, especially now, given that so many things are automated and touchless and, you know, distant. I think it's really a great time to open a studio, actually, because, you know, you could just automate everything and have cleaning sessions in between. I think, you know, but I always try to find an opportunity where there's room. So I think this is a great time to open a studio.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any practical advice you can give as far as, I guess, in the matter of getting your business plan together or people together, or what is like the thing that gave you the most amount of grief that you had to really work on when you were?
I think what gave me the most amount of challenges actually were those things, or levels of respect and boundaries that needed to be set in front. So I guess my one word of advice would be to make it crystal clear what your boundaries are. If you allow food in your studio, then, you know, between certain hours, that's one thing. If you don't allow shoes, whatever you want to have honored in your space, I think that that's really important to make notice of upfront.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that'll save you a lot of communicative issues later on.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. So we're going to take a moment and we're going to enjoy another one of your performances. Everyone, here is Lilirosas.
Oh my God, Lilirosa. All right. Put your hands together.
Another stunning performance again, as always. So how would you define your style? Your style.
Well, I think that I've always been a traditional girl. I've been quoted as being very structured and very crisp with my movements, because I tend to do things very small and and feel the music in depth, as opposed to just, you know, just dancing. So yeah, my style is more traditional.
Traditional Egyptian? Traditional.
Yes. Traditional Egyptian. I cannot say that there's anything that I've combined my dance with. I'm not in any way, you know, melting and into any of the other genres of belly dance. No, very traditional. Yeah.
Yeah. And you do other types of dance though, don't you?
I do I do enjoy other types of dance, and you know, I want to jump back quickly to something that one of my comadres said not too long ago. So that was Tashira Wadia, right? And she was making note of the essence and the beauty in the feminine side of the dance. And I have to say, I wholeheartedly agree with her. I love belly dance because it really gives you a chance to be and to exude the femininity and the sensuality that comes with being a woman. I think that's just such a beautiful thing. And in those movements come so many healing attributes that radiate throughout your body. It's so beneficial. And, you know, I'm going to start crying. I'm sorry. It's just such a wonderful gift. It really is. So, you know, there's just so much beauty and joy in this dance. Yeah.
That kind of leads me right into the fact that you are integrative holistic health practitioner.
Yes.
Wonderful. Now, and you mentioned how you combine the two, working with your clients. Tell us more about this.
Well, where do I begin? I'll tell you, the belly dance it's really been such a blessing for so long. And with it, I've grown to learn more about myself. And of course, having observed the rights and wrongs, if you will, or shortcomings of my fellow dancers, mentors, and even those whom I don't know very well, it's really helped me to design a plan for myself and to learn how to live my life in balance. And so that is something that I think we all strive for, especially for those of us who have issues with weight or, you know, there are just so many issues that we could have: mental, physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, you know, and integrative health has to do with the balance of all of those aspects, because with that balance comes a full palette of happiness, right? And fluidity and bliss and emotional well-being. And so it's really been quite a wonderful journey that I've been on. And so I created this beautiful instrument by which women and men can be engaged in healing on their own journeys and connecting with their own selves, their own higher selves, and just feeling healthier and living a balanced life. So my website is called Belly Beauty, and it's BELLI-beauty.com. I have so many great tools to offer on that website. It's really very simple, actually. And really, that's the beauty of life, right? Is that it is very simple. Even when it comes to the dance, there are only, a couple of traveling steps, a couple of movements. And yet it's the way we interpret them that makes the dance so very special and endearing to us. And I've found that the integrative health coaching and nutritional education, it's all very intertwined and intermingled, and it's all really simple, but it's really not. So yeah, that's, you know, that's really the joy of life, right? Finding balance. So it's about finding balance inside and out. Yeah.
Wonderful. That sounds amazing. And I'm going to go to that website as soon as we're done. That sounds amazing.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your energy. And we're going to end up with one more of your amazing performances. And who was accompanying you in these performances that you're sharing?
Wow, Audie, I just want to thank you one more time because this really has been a great platform to share just my experiences. I hope that maybe someone who is in my shoes or is where I was at a particular time in my life feels inspired to just go ahead and learn about the dance and maybe is motivated to be healed in some way as well. And back to your question. So I'm sharing with you some experiences with a very dear friend of mine. His name was Jeff Webb. We had some great shows together. He was my Superman on so many levels. And it's really just, I really just have so many great memories with him. So I just wanted to share them with you. Thank you again.
Absolutely amazing musician, artist. His art lives on. So it was just amazing. But thank you again. And thank you, audience, for joining us. And let's take one last look at the artistry that is Lilirosas.
Thank you.